Well, happy Leap Day. The crystal ball turns its gaze to Super Tuesday and finds that Mitt Romney is likely to build on his lead in delegates. The details plus your questions are next in this week's Video Crystal Ball. Well, we've all had a chance to process Michigan and Arizona, the close result in Michigan, the blowout for Romney in Arizona. Who needs energy drinks when you have the presidential process kicking in week after week with exciting contests? We're going to look forward to Super Tuesday because it's the biggest day of the calendar so far, with 10 states voting on Super Tuesday plus Washington State coming up on Saturday. Take a look at our Super Tuesday map here, and you can see that there's going to be something for everybody on Super Tuesday. You're going to have for Mitt Romney, who's the front runner, pretty automatically Massachusetts, where he was governor, Vermont, next door. Ron Paul's advertising there, but that's very likely to go for Romney with that moderate electorate. Virginia, where only Mitt Romney and Ron Paul got on the ballot. We think Romney will either sweep or nearly sweep all of the delegates that are available. There are 49 total, 46 actually on Election Day available in Virginia. And probably Idaho is going to go to Romney. There's a substantial Mormon population there. It's a caucus, but we think it will go to Romney. Then you have for Romney and for others, particularly Santorum, Ohio. And I think that's going to be a giant battle. Newt Gingrich was playing in Ohio. He may still try to play, but it appears as though the battle is really between Romney and Santorum. The University of Cincinnati poll, which is really a gold standard for Ohio, has Santorum up by 11 points. So once again, you have a situation where a key state that Romney really does have to win to be a credible nominee, to have a good chance of carrying it in the fall. And you have Santorum leading. So we're going to see the same old movie replayed. You're going to have Romney jumping into Ohio, using his organizational and financial advantage to outspend Santorum, certainly on television, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, whatever the ratio turns out to be. And he's got a lot of ground to make up very quickly. This is a lot like Michigan, except Romney doesn't have any of the home state advantages that he had in Michigan. Nonetheless, we think in the end, somehow or another, just as he's done in several key states, Romney will probably grind it out. Certainly on the delegate count, it'll be a toss-up, a near even divide with Santorum, and with the popular vote, Romney has a decent chance to repeat past behavior, past practice, and carry Ohio. But that's going to be the close race that everybody watches. Now, what about Santorum? Well, he's pretty much got Oklahoma in the bag. I don't think there's any real chance anybody's going to challenge him. In Oklahoma, that's 43 delegates, so it's substantial. Tennessee is interesting. Santorum is well ahead. It's being conceded to him by some. We've wondered whether Romney will try to play in a place like Tennessee to surprise people, either to come close to Santorum or maybe even to beat him, as difficult as that appears to be. Remember, Tennessee's Republican electorate, while very conservative, has also nominated a moderate conservative who's serving as governor, Bill Haslam, and two moderate conservative U.S. senators, Corker and Alexander, who are serving from Tennessee today. So they're willing, this electorate, Republican electorate in Tennessee, is more than willing to nominate moderate conservative candidates. So we're going to watch Tennessee to see if there are any surprise plays there by Romney. Then, of course, most people concede Georgia by a wide margin to Newt Gingrich, and actually that's the biggest delegate prize of Super Tuesday with 76 delegates. So we would think that Gingrich would carry that and would continue the fight from there. Now, there are several caucus states that are notoriously difficult to predict, where Ron Paul is making a major effort, but then so are Romney and so are Santorum. And that includes North Dakota, Washington, and Alaska. If Ron Paul is going to win anything, if he's going to win a caucus state, you would think he would win one of these three. But so far, he hasn't been able to come in closer than second. That's our Super Tuesday map. Now, the real question about this nominating process has devolved from winning states to winning delegates. This is now a search for delegates, and it's going to remain that way through June. And Mitt Romney, to this point, has a substantial lead. And we've done something that you will see in Thursday's Crystal Ball in detail, state by state. We have tried to estimate, and it is a guesstimate, but we've estimated the number of delegates that we think all the candidates will win in all the states that are up Saturday and next Tuesday. Now, you're going to see our totals here. We see Romney emerging as a substantial victor, mainly because he's unopposed for all practical purposes in most districts in Virginia and in Massachusetts and Vermont. So Romney has a total of 212. Santorum comes in second at 163. Gingrich at 47. And Paul at 31. Again, these are estimates, and there will be a substantial margin of error, but we believe Romney will be the substantial delegate winner on Super Tuesday. Get the details in the crystal ball that comes out on Thursday. Now, looking at the big picture, looking at the 40 states that have not voted yet in this next map, we've tried to estimate wherever we could a guess about the winner. And you can see from the yellow states, which symbolize Romney, he's going to do very well in the Northeast, in a couple of more moderate states of the Midwest, in California, the most moderate of the Republican electorates on the West Coast, and in those caucus states in the West, where there's a substantial Mormon element. So those are all in yellow, and of course Virginia, because he's unopposed there. It would have been a real race had Santorum and Gingrich been on the ballot. You can see that the Romney underdog states, the red states, are mainly in the South and the border states. And some have already voted, most have not. We expect Santorum or Gingrich to carry most or all of these. Then you have the toss-up states, which are in orange, and we just simply can't estimate those at this point. We don't have enough information to say one way or the other. But that's the big picture. Romney doing well in the Northeast, parts of the Midwest, the Rocky Mountain spine with Mormons, and then in California, the anti-Romney candidates doing well in the South and the border states. And now we go to our favorite part of the program, your questions from Twitter. The first question comes from Robbie Sherman, Robbie Sherman 77 on Twitter. If there are lots of whispers that Mitt Romney can't win, why would a tiny win in Michigan make things all better? Well, Robbie, politics is blue smoke and mirrors. It's about perceptions as well as reality. You know, take the contests on Tuesday night. Arizona had only one delegate fewer than Michigan. It was a runaway for Mitt Romney. Why shouldn't there have been as much coverage of Arizona as Michigan? And the answer is because Michigan was a potential train wreck for the Romney candidacy. His native state, the state where his father served as governor, a state he won 4 years ago, and yet he was in danger of losing it. 3 months ago, if you had said Mitt Romney would win Michigan by a mere 3 percentage points, we would all have said, my God, Romney is finished. That's terrible. But we all know the problems that Romney has had. We all know that some of the polls, many of the polls, showed Santorum beating Romney in Michigan. So the expectations game was reset. And the expectation was that Romney would be lucky to win Michigan by 1 vote. Instead, he won by 30,000 votes, 3 percentage points. It seemed like a big victory. So there you have it. Blow the blue smoke, adjust the mirrors, and you're going to succeed in politics. Now, let's go to the second question. The second question here is from Rob on Twitter, the Rob Johnson. Does Newt Gingrich gain any relevance on Super Tuesday with success in the South? Well, look, he seems to be focusing almost entirely on Georgia, which he represented in Congress for many, many years. He has to win Georgia. If for some reason Santorum managed to win in Georgia, and we don't think that will happen, it's difficult to see how Newt Gingrich could continue. He needs a big victory in Georgia with all those delegates to make an argument that he should continue in the race. I don't see him competing closely anywhere else. Maybe he'll surprise us. He had once talked about Ohio. He had talked about Oklahoma and Tennessee, but it just doesn't look likely. Now, what Gingrich plans is to take a victory in Georgia and turn that into victories in Alabama and Mississippi the following week. The problem is that Santorum is also doing very well in those states. So we'll just have to see what happens. Newt Gingrich's future depends almost entirely on Rick Santorum shrinking out of the contest, disappearing. If Gingrich can become the anti-Romney again, he inherits all of those votes that are currently going to Santorum. But we don't see any evidence that that's happening, at least not yet, not on Leap Day. The third question is from Bob Doherty on Twitter, and he says, please handicap Olympia Snow's retirement impact on Democratic control of the Senate. You know, every seat in the Senate matters, and an announcement like Olympia Snow's was a 9.0 earthquake in the Senate control discussion. This was an enormous setback for Republicans. They had counted on Snow running. She was a cinch to win and hold that seat. The crystal ball almost instantly put that seat into the lean Democrat category. Why did we do that? Because increasingly our politics is polarized. Increasingly Senate contests go the same way of the presidential election, especially when there's a wide margin. President Obama is going to win Maine's electoral votes handily in November. The Democrats have a strong bench. The two people in Congress are obviously first in line to get that nomination. For the Democrats, Republicans don't have a strong backup. Yes, it's true that an independent could come into the race. Maine has a history of that. Lots of things could happen, but tentatively, that seat looks very likely to change party hands. In fact, it's a more likely Democratic pickup even than Massachusetts and Nevada, the other two states that Democrats are hoping will switch. So this is a very close contest for the Senate. And I think Olympia Snow's retirement has increased substantially the chances of a tied Senate or Democrats remaining in control by one vote, or if they keep the presidency, a tied Senate with Joe Biden breaking control for the Democrats. Too early to say for sure, but boy, was that decision great news for the Democrats and horrible news for the Republicans. But don't worry, there'll be other days like this between now and November that will favor the Republicans. That's the way these contests go.
Hi, this is Kyle Kondik. I'm the House editor at the Crystal Ball, and we have a question today about the U.S. House of Representatives. And the question is do the Democrats have a chance to retake the House? The answer is that it's possible that the Democrats could take the House, but not likely at this point. If you look at the overall map for the House, Democrats should be able to pick up some seats in Illinois, in California, and in some other states, Florida and Arizona, where redistricting proved to be relatively favorable for them. However, Republicans have controlled redistricting in some major states, including Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And those are places where Republicans picked up a lot of House seats in 2010, and where it will be more difficult for Democrats to pick up seats this time. So I think what the Democrats need is a strong performance from President Obama at the top of the ticket, and to sort of have a little luck in the House. So it's easy to see the Democrats getting to 10 seats, but they need to pick up a net of 25 to win. And that, again, looks like, you know, possible but not probable at this point. And I'm going to throw it back to Larry now.
Thanks, Kyle. We appreciate your perspective on the House races. You do a great job for us analyzing the House of Representatives. And now we come to our final question, and this is really important and something that everybody's going to want to grab paper and pen to record. Mike P. from Twitter, the Panto, I think that's how you pronounce it. Mike, if I mispronounced it, you can call me Sabato. But he asks, what are the Powerball winning numbers? We get this question a lot at the Crystal Ball, and we usually decline to answer. But last night, because Michigan and Arizona wrapped up relatively early, we had some power left in the Crystal Ball. We went ahead and plugged in the numbers, and I am delighted to share with you the winning numbers for Powerball. We want to share the wealth with all of you. Here are the winning numbers.